Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is your favorite YouTuber Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video I'll discuss the important questions from the famous novel The Pearl, which is written by John Steinbeck. And this particular novel has the six important chapters. So I have already done a video on the summary and the detailed explanation of all six chapters of this particular novel. So before you go through this video, I'll request you to go through my video on the summary of the Pearl. Then it will be very easy for you to understand the 5 marks questions, 10 marks, as well as the character sketch. So these questions have been referred through your textbook. And one more declaration I would like to mention here, that my answers are the model answers. At the end of the day, your understanding of the summary or the novel matters a lot. So read the novel thoroughly and try to connect your answers or your explanation with my answers. So let's begin it. The very first, we'll understand the 5 marks questions. Question number 1. What does Kino's morning routine in the chapter 1 reveal about his relationship with nature and family? Kino's morning routine in the chapter 1 shows that he lives a simple and peaceful life close to nature. When he wakes up, he listens to the sounds of birds, pigs, and sea waves. He feels happy and calm as he watches the sunrise. The song of the family that plays a very important role in his mind, that shows his love for his home and his connection with nature. He feels safe, warm, and thankful for the beauty around him. His wife Joanna and baby Coyotito are also part of this peaceful life. Joanna quietly makes breakfast and takes care of the child, while Kino watches her Kino watches her with love and respect. They do not need many words to understand each other. Their life is simple but full of love, care, and harmony. The routine shows that before finding the pearl, Kino's world is balanced and happy. A life where nature and family bring him true peace. Question number 2. How does the scorpion incident predict the coming tragedy in the novel, in the story? The scorpion incident in the novel, The Pearl, is a very important moment that brings a foreshadows the tragedy that happens later in the story. When the scorpion crawls down the rope towards the baby Coyotito, Kino and Joanna become frightened. Joanna prays and tries to protect her child, but the scorpion still stings him. This shows that even though they love and protect their child, danger and evil can enter their peaceful life at any time. The song of evil that Kino hears in his mind during this scene is a warning that trouble is awaiting, trouble is coming. This small incident is a symbol of larger problems, a symbol of the larger problems that Kino and his family will soon face after finding the pearl. Just like the scorpion's poison hurts Coyotito, the pearl brings greed, jealousy, and violence into their lives. The scorpion's sting is the first sign that the simple happiness will be destroyed by evil forces beyond the control. In simple words, the scorpion's bite predicts that pain and loss will follow Kino's discovery of the pearl, leading to the tragic end of the story. Third question for 5 marks. What is the significance of the doctor refusing to treat Coetito in the chapter number 1? The doctor's refusal to treat Coetito in chapter 1 clearly shows the cruelty, greed, and social injustice in the world of the pearl. When Kino and Joanna take their baby to the doctor after the scorpion sting, the doctor's servant tells them that the doctor will not come because they have no money. Kino offers a few ugly grey seed pearls as a payment, but the servant returns saying, "The doctor has gone out. he was called to a serious case. This lie shows how the rich humiliate the poor and how little value they place on their lives. This moment also deeply affects Kino. When the doctor refuses to help, Kino feels ashamed and angry. He hits the iron gate so hard that his hand starts bleeding. This act shows both his pain and his helplessness against the unfair system that favors the rich. The doctor's greed becomes even clearer later in the story when he visits Kino's house only after hearing that Kino has found the pearl of the world. He pretends to care for Koitito but actually poisons the baby just to find out where the pearl is hidden. These examples show that the doctor's refusal in the chapter number 1 is not only an act of racism and class discrimination, but also the beginning of Kino's struggle against the greed and evidence that the pearl will bring into his life. Question number 4. How does Steinbeck use a sea as a symbol in the chapter number 2? In chapter number 2, Steinbeck uses the sea, ocean, as a symbol of both hope and danger in Kino's life. For Kino and Joanna, the sea is very important because it gives them food and the pearls. Kino means to say boat. Kino's boat, which he uses to fish and dive, is his most valuable possession, which because it helps his family survive. When Koitito is stung by the scorpion, Joanna prays to the sea as well as to the god, saying her prayers are made of a combination of prayer and magic. This shows that they see the ocean as a living force that can bless them with good fortune. When Kino dives into the water, he finds a great pearl which he calls the pearl of the world. At first, the sea seems very kind and generous because it gives him this treasure. But later, the pearl brings evil and tragedy to his family. This shows that the sea, like life, can be both kind and cruel. It can give hope in one moment and take it away the very next moment. So, through examples like finding the pearl and Joanna praying to the sea, Steinbeck shows that sea is a symbol of both life and danger, reflecting the uncertain fate of Kino's family. Question number 5. How does Kino finding the pearl serve as a turning point in the narrative? Finding the Pearl is the main turning point in the story in the novel The Pearl because it changes Kino's peaceful life into one which is filled with greed, danger, and tragedy. Before finding the pearl, he was living a very happy and simple life with Joanna and his young baby, Koetito. He feels joy in small things like watching the sunrise and hearing the song of the family. But when he finds the greatest pearl of the world, he starts dreaming of a new life. He tells Joanna, "We will be married in the church. Koetito will go to school." This shows that Kino sees the pearl as a way to achieve hope, respect, and a better future for his family. Soon after finding the pearl, Kino's world changes. The doctor, who earlier refused to treat Koetito, suddenly visits Kino's hut. He pretends to care, but secretly he wanted the pearl. Later, thieves break into Kino's house. He says, "This pearl has become my soul." This shows that he becomes obsessed with this pearl. His love for the pearl causes fights with Joanna and leads to violence and the death. By the end, the pearl that once seemed beautiful brings only pain and loss, especially when Koitito is killed. Finally, Kino throws the pearl back into the sea, realizing it brought only evil. These examples show that finding the pearl is the moment when Kino's life changes from peaceful and happy to tragic and full of suffering. Question number 6. Why does the priest visit Kino's house and what does this reveal about the church. The priest visits Kino's house after hearing that Kino has found the pearl of the world. Before this, the priest had never shown any interest in Kino or his poor neighbors, but once he learns about Kino's new wealth, he suddenly remembers that Kino is a member of his parish. This visit shows that the church, like other parts of the society in the novel, is influenced by greed and selfishness rather than true faith and or kindness. When the priest arrives, he speaks gently, pretending to bless Kino's good fortune. He reminds Kino of his duty to God and tells him to be thankful, but his real motive is to get money for the church. He even mentions that the church needs repairs and that Kino should think about donating. This shows that the priest is using religion to take advantage of Kino's innocence and faith. John Steinbeck, the writer, the author, uses the scene to show how the church, which should guide and protect people, is also corrupted by greed. Just like the doctor and the pearl buyers, the priest becomes another person who wants a share of Kino's fortune instead of helping him spiritually. Next, how is the doctor's behavior in the chapter 3 a critic of colonial attitudes? In chapter 3 of the novel Pearl, the doctor's behavior shows the arrogance and the racism of colonial attitudes. Earlier, he refuses to treat Koitito after the scorpion sting. He says he is a doctor, not veterinary. This shows that he sees Kino's people as inferior and animal-like because they are poor and belongs to the native race. However, when he hears that Kino has found the pearl of the world, his behavior suddenly changes. He quickly goes to the Kino's house and pretending to care for the baby and claims that the poison may still be in the wound. This false concern is not out of kindness but out of greed for the pearl. The doctor's actions also show that how the colonizers use their power to deceive and control the native people. He gives Coetito medicine that makes him sick, then returns later with another dose to cure him, just to gain Kino's trust and find out where the pearl is hidden. This act of manipulation and exploitation shows how colonial figures took advantage of the innocent people. John Steinbeck uses the doctor to criticize a system where the powerful pretend to be civilized and moral, but the actions are driven by selfishness and superiority. 1 minute, yeah, okay. Next question. Why does Kinov begin to feel paranoid after the pearl? Kino begins to feel paranoid after the pearl because after finding it, he realizes that everyone around him wants to take it away. What first seemed like a blessing soon fills him with fear and mistrust. After word spreads that he has found the pearl of the world, Kino notices how people look at him with jealousy and greed. The doctor suddenly visits, pretending to care for Koetito, but Kino can sense his false intentions. Later that night, someone tries to steal the pearl. Kino is attacked in the dark. These events make him feel that evil has entered his life and he starts to believe that everyone is against him. As Kino's fear grows, the pearl becomes a symbol of evil and destruction instead of hope. He hides it, checks on it constantly, and even hurts Joanna when she tries to throw it away. He tells her, "The pearl has become my soul," showing that his greed and fear had completely taken over his mind. Kino's growing paranoia paranoia shows how the pearl changes him from a peaceful, loving man into somebody who is obsessed, distrustful, which prove that the desire for wealth can destroy both peace and happiness. Question number nine. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Hmm. Question number nine for 5 marks. Sorry, there may be some thought issue. Anyway, the video has to go on. What is the significance of Kino refusing the pearl buyer's offers in the chapter number 4? Kino's refusal to sell the pearl to the buyers in the chapter 4 shows his growing pride, determination, and desire for independence. When he brings the pearl to town, all buyers pretend that it's worthless. One of them says, "It's too large. It is only a curiosity piece." But Kino knows they are lying and that they have secretly joined together to cheat him. So his decisions to refuse the offer shows his awareness of the injustice and corruption around him. He does not want to be fooled by the rich and or controlled by people who think he's poor and ignorant. This moment marks the beginning of his fight for dignity and self-respect. However, Kino's refusal also leads to danger and tragedy. After rejecting the buyer's unfair prices, Kino becomes a target for thieves and the greedy man who want the pearl. Even his brother warns him that his decision might bring trouble. Kino's pride and hope for a better future make him believe he can sell the pearl in the capital, but this dream slowly destroys his peace and safety. John Steinbeck uses this scene to show that Kino's act of resistance, though brave, sets him on a path which is filled with violence, fear, and loss, revealing how greed and power can crush an honest man's struggle for justice. Then, question number 10. How does Steinbeck portray the town as a character in itself? John Steinbeck portrays the town in the novel The Pearl almost like a living character, which is watching, reacting, spreading the news. When Kino finds the pearl of the world, John Steinbeck writes that the news stood the news stood through the town like wind through grass. This expression shows that the town behaves like a single being, whispering and moving as a human person, as a human being. It listens, it gossips, it judges, it reacts to every event in Kino's life. The townspeople are never named individually. Instead, they act together, feeling envy, curiosity, or greed. Through this, John Steinbeck gives the town a kind of collective personality that shows how quickly people's emotions can spread and influence each other. The town also represents society's moral weakness. It feeds, it brings gossips, greed, waiting for Kino to fail so that others can benefit. When Kino finds the pearl, the whole town becomes filled with jealousy and evil desires. As John Steinbeck says here, the poison sacs of the town begin to fill and puff. This personification makes the town seem almost alive, a creature that senses opportunity and strikes when it smells wealth. In this way, John Steinbeck uses the town as a character to show how communities can turn cruel and destructive when driven by greed, envy, and fear. Question number 11. What does the destruction of Kino's Kino means boat, and burning of his house? So his boat gets destructed, his house gets burned. What does it symbolize? The destruction of Kino's cane or burning of his house are powerful symbols in the novel The Pearl that represents the complete loss of security, tradition, and peace in Kino's life. Kino's canoe boat is described as his most valuable possession, which is passed down from his grandfather to his father and then to himself. It is not just a tool for fishing, it symbolizes the heritage, livelihood, and connection to his ancestors. When Kino finds the canoe's bottom smashed, he realizes that his way of life has been destroyed. It means he can no longer provide food for his family or live peacefully by the sea. The broken canoe symbolizes the death of his old, simple world and beginning of his suffering caused by greed and envy. Similarly, when Kino's house is burned down, it shows the destruction of his home, safety, and happiness. The fire forces Kino, Joanna, Koetito to run away and live like fugitives. Together, these acts of violence show how the pearl has brought evil and chaos in their lives, ruining everything they once valued. John Steinbeck uses these images to show that greed does not only destroy wealth but also destroys culture, family, and identity. The broken canoe and the burnt house symbolize the final loss of Kino's peace and the complete shattering of his world. Next question number 12. How is the violence used to show Kino's transformation in the chapter number 5? In the chapter number 5 of the novel The Pearl, John Steinbeck uses the violence to show how Kino changes from a peaceful, loving man into someone ruled by fear, anger, and greed. It is at the start of the story, Kino is gentle and caring, but after finding the pearl, he becomes suspicious and aggressive. This change is first seen when Joanna tries to throw the pearl into the sea because she believes it is evil. Instead of listening to her, Kino attacks her violently, striking her in the face and kicking her in the side. This shocking act shows that the pearl has begun to destroy Kino's humanity and love. Soon after, who tries to steal Kino kills a man who tries to steal the pearl. Though he acts in self defense, the violence shows how deeply he has changed from a man who once feared doing harm to one who now kills to protect his treasure. When he says, I'm a man, it shows that he believes violence is the only way to prove his strength and to protect his family. John Steinbeck uses these violent moments to reveal Kino's tragic transformation. The pearl, which he once saw as a symbol of hope, has turned him into a man driven by rage, pride, and desperation, leading him toward his final downfall. Question number 13. How do Kino and Joanna's role shift as they become fugitives? As Kino and Joanna become fugitives, their roles in the story begin to reverse and evolve. Early in the novel, Kino is a strong leader of the family, the provider, the protector, while Joanna is quiet, obedient, supportive. But after the pearl brings danger, they are forced to flee, to run away. Joanna grows stronger, calmer, wiser, while Kino becomes more fearful and desperate. She no longer just follows him, instead, she becomes his guide and strength. For example, when Kino's boat is destroyed, the house is burned, it is Joanna who remains steady and helps him escape safely from with Koitito. So in the mountains, Joanna shows the great courage and understanding, while Kino focuses only on protecting the pearl, she focuses on saving their lives. After Kino kills the trackers, she silently supports him, showing deep strength and forgiveness. At the end, when they return to the village, they walk side by side, not with Kino leading as before. So, this image shows that they have become equals, both changed by suffering. Joanna's quiet wisdom and strength helped restore Kino's humanity, showing that true courage and endurance come from love and partnership, not from pride and power. Question number 14. How does Steinbeck create tension in the final night at the mountain? That night on the mountain was dark and still. Kino, Joanna, and little Coetito hid in a small cave high above the valley, their hearts heavy with fear. Below them, three men, the trackers, were moving slowly, searching for them. The sound of their footsteps and the voices drifted up through the quiet air. Kino knew that if the men found them, they would be killed. So every sound, even a cry of an owl or the rustle of leaves, made the night feel tighter and more dangerous. Joanna held Koitito very closely, trying to keep him quiet, but the baby began to whimper softly. Kino's heart starts pounding. He knew the trackers might hear. He decided he must attack before sunrise. Quietly, he slipped out of the cave, moving like a shadow down the mountain. The moonlight flashed on the rifle in one man's hand. Kino crept closer, his knife ready. Then, in a burst of courage and fear, he leaped and he killed the man. For a moment, everything was silent. Then a single gunshot rang out. When Kino returned to the cave, he saw that what that gunshot had done. The sound of Coyotito's cry would never be heard again. The night that began with fear, ended in a heartbreaking tragedy. That gunshot had hit Coyotito, Kino's son, and Kino's son Coyotito is no more. Question number 15. How does Coyotito's death change the meaning of the pearl? How does it has changed the meaning of the pearl? Coetito's death. 1 minute. Just how many questions? Oh my god, 17 questions. How does Coetito death change the meaning of the pearl? Coetito's death changes the meaning of the pearl from a symbol of hope to one of tragedy and evil. At the beginning, Kino believes the pearl will bring happiness. He dreams of marrying Joanna in the church, of sending Coetito to school so that his son can read and know things. The pearl seems to promise a better life. When greed and violence follow Kino everywhere, it becomes clear that the pearl brings only evil and destruction. In the final night on the mountain, while Kino, Joanna, and Coetito are hiding from the trackers, the baby begins to cry softly. One of the men hears the sound and mistakes it for a Coeto pup. He raises his rifle and fires towards the cave. The shot kills baby Coetito instantly. When Kino attacks and kills the man, it's only too late. After this, the pearl loses all its beauty. Steinbeck says it becomes gray and ulcerous, like a malignant growth. Coitito's death makes Kino realize that the pearl has brought only pain and loss. In the end, when Kino throws it back into the sea, it shows that he has finally understood the truth. No wealth can replace love, peace, and life itself. Why does Kino throw the pearl into the sea at the end of the novel? Kino throws the pearl into the sea at the end because he finally understands that it has brought nothing but evil, pain, and loss to his family. At first, he believed the pearl was a gift from God, a way to give Joanna a better life and to send Koirito to school. But instead of bringing happiness, it brings greed, violence, and death. People try to steal it. Kino kills a man because of it. His house is burned, and finally, Koitito is killed by a gunshot meant for a coyote. Coyote means a kind of cast. Now we will discuss. Okay, sorry. When Kino looks at the pearl after his son's death, Steinbeck writes that it no longer shines with beauty. It looks gray like a malignant growth. In that moment, Kino realizes that the pearl is the cause of all the suffering. By throwing it back into the sea, he is letting go of his greed, guilt, and sorrow. The act also shows his return to truth. The real wealth is not in gold or jewels, but in love and peace in family. The sea, which once gave him the pearl, now takes it back. restoring the balance that was once lost. Now, question number 17. What is the central message or the moral? What is the central message or the moral that leaves us with through Kino's story? Through Kino's story in the novel The Pearl, Steinbeck gives us a powerful moral about greed, ambition, and the true meaning of happiness. And the true meaning of happiness, 1 minute. And at the beginning, Kino and his family lives a simple but peaceful life. They are poor, yet they have love, harmony, and deep connection with nature. But Kino finds the great pearl, his dreams of wealth and a better future slowly turning into greed and destruction. Everyone around him becomes selfish. The doctor, the priest, the townspeople, and Kino himself changes, becomes angry and suspicious. By the end, when Koitito dies and Kino throws the pearl back into the sea, Steinbeck shows that the real treasure of life is not money or power, it's love, peace, and human values. The pearl, which seemed beautiful, brought only evil and pain because it awakened greed in human hearts. The central message is very much clear. Blind desire for wealth can destroy innocence, peace, and happiness. True richness, true riches comes not from material things, but from the love and unity we share with each other. So don't run away. Still, we have important questions from the character sketch, and we have 10 marks questions. As I told you, you should have patience. In single video, we are going to cover here 5 marks questions, an important character sketch, and the 10 marks questions. So let me tell you, in the examination, there will be a compulsory question to write a character sketch about any one of the given characters. Remember? So let's begin it. So the very first character we have here, Kino. 1 minute. Yeah. Kino is the main character and the heart of the story. He's a poor pearl diver who lives with his wife Joanna and baby son Koitito in a small hut near the sea. At the beginning, Kyo is honest, kind, and content with a simple life. He loves his family deeply and feels connected to nature. His morning routine shows his peace and happiness before greed enters his life. When Kino finds the pearl of the world, his dreams begin to grow. He wants to marry Joan in a church. He wants to buy new clothes. He wants to send Koichiro to school. However, these dreams slowly turn into greed and obsession. The pearl brings envy and danger from others, and Kino becomes angry, suspicious, and violent. He kills a man, hurts Joanna, loses his peace of mind. After Koichito's death, Kino realizes that the pearl brought only evil. When he finally throws it back into the sea, he returns to the truth that love, family, and peace are worth than any wealth. So Kino's character shows how greed can change a good man, into a tragic person. Second character we have here, Joanna, is the second character. Joanna is Kino's wife and the true strength of the family. She's gentle, caring, and brave, but also very wise and practical. When the scorpion stings Koetito, Joanna quickly acts. She sucks out the poison and prays to both God and the ancient spirits. Her calmness and courage shows her deep love for her family. Joanna senses very early on that the pearl is dangerous. She calls the pearl as evil, tells Kino to throw it away because she can see how it is changing him. Even when Kino strikes her for trying to get rid of it, she forgives him, stays by his side. As they face danger together, Joanna becomes even stronger. At the end, when they return to the village after Koitito's death, she walks side by side with Kino, not behind him. This shows that she has become his equal, Joanna represents wisdom, loyalty, and quiet strength, the moral heart of the story. Next character we have it the doctor. The doctor in the story represents greed, racism, and the corruption of the society. He is a rich European who lives in comfort in the town, far from the poor villagers. When Kino and Joanna come to him for help after Coedito's scorpion sting, he refuses to treat him, saying, I'm a doctor, not a veterinary. This cruel statement shows his racism and how he looks down on Kino's people as less than human. However, when the doctor hears that Kino has found a great pearl, he immediately changes his attitude. He visits Kino's house pretending to care for the baby, but his real aim is to find out where the pearl is hidden. He even gives Koitito medicine that makes him sick so that he can come back later, act like a savior. The doctor's actions show how the powerful exploit the poor for their own gain. Through him, Steinbeck criticizes colonial arrogance and moral corruption. Next character we find here John Thomas. Who is John Thomas? John Thomas is Kino's elder brother. He plays an important role as the voice of the reason and the family support in the story. He's kind, he's kind, honest, and protective. When Kino finds the pearl, John Thomas warns him to be careful, saying that men saying that greed can destroy greed can destroy 1 minute. Where am I? Okay, yeah. He understands how dangerous the pearl is and advises Kino not to trust the buyers or the townspeople. When Kino kills a man while defending himself, Juan Thomas hides Kino and Joanna in his house, showing great loyalty and courage. He risks his own safety to help them escape. Juan Thomas represents family love, wisdom, and moral strength in a world which is full of corruption and greed. Through him, John Steinbeck shows that even in dark times, kindness and loyalty can survive. Coitito, the young baby, that character sketch. Coitito is Kino and Joanna's young son, young baby. 1 minute, just hold it. Hello? Sorry. Um, repeat. Yeah. Coitito is Kino and Joanna's baby son, and the innocent heart of the story. His name means little coyote that fits the simplicity of the family life. At the beginning, his scorpion sting starts the main conflict. It pushes Kino to find a pearl so that he can pay for treatment. He finds the pearl because of Koitito only. Kino's dream of a better life is all for his son, Koitito. He wants his son to read and know the things. Sadly, Koitito becomes victim. Sadly, Koitito becomes victim of greed and violence. When the trackers hunt Koitito and Joanna in the mountains, a gunshot meant for a coyote kills. A gunshot means to say the Koitito is being killed. His death is the most tragic moment in the story. It makes Kino realize that the pearl has brought evil, only evil. Koitito's death gives the story its moral lesson that innocence is destroyed by human greed and that true happiness lies in love and peace, not in the wealth. Okay, now, so these we have seen here the character sketch Now we are moving to the 10 marks questions. 1 minute. Hello. अरे पलक को लेके जाना. Oh, sorry. There was a call which I had to attend. So these were the character sketch, and don't miss character sketch. There will be minimum 5 marks question on any one of the characters, and I have covered all the characters. Now we are moving towards the master question, 10 marks. So you have the pattern examination, 5 marks, 4 questions, and 10 marks, 1 question. So totally, the pearl will be for 30 marks, right? So let's continue. 10 marks question. So please have patience, watch the video till the end. Question number 1 for 10 marks. How does John Steinbeck explore the theme of greed in the Pearl? Very important question. John Steinbeck explores the theme of greed in the novel The Pearl by showing how it changes people and destroys the peace of a simple life. At the start of the story, Kino and his family live happily by the sea. They are poor but content, living close to nature and each other. When Kino finds the pearl of the world, he believes it will bring happiness and a better future. He dreams of marrying Joanna in a church and sending Koyote to school, but from that moment the pearl is found. The moment the pearl is found, greed begins to spread through the town like poison, and everyone starts thinking about how they can take Kino's treasure. Steinbeck shows the power of greed through the behavior of others also. The doctor, who once refused to help Koichito, suddenly visits Kino's house, pretending to care, hoping to get the pearl. The priest also comes, reminding Kino to thank God, but his real aim is to receive money for the church. Even the pearl buyers cheat Kino by pretending that his pearl is too big, has no value. These examples show these examples show how greed makes people selfish, dishonest, and cruel, how it destroys kindness and honesty in society. Greed also changes Kino's own heart. He becomes angry, violent, afraid. Even he hits his wife Joanna when she tries to throw the pearl away into the ocean. He kills a man who attacks him. The pearl, which once looked beautiful, begins to look grey and ugly, showing how it has brought evil instead of goodness. When Coyote is killed by gunshot meant for Coyote, misunderstanding Coyote, Kino finally understands that greed has destroyed everything he loved. By throwing the pearl back into the sea, he frees himself from its curse. So, John Steinbeck's message is very clear. Greed can turn hope into tragedy and destroy the true happiness found in love and peace. Second question. Remember, these are the 10 marks questions, and you have to write this much. Analyze how Steinbeck uses the characters, symbols, and the events to represent the constant struggle between innocence and corruption. John Steinbeck uses character, symbols, and events in the Pearl the continuous struggle between innocence and corruption. At the beginning of the play, Kino, Joanna, Coitito, they live very simple, innocent life, close to nature. They are happy with the little, and their love for each other is very pure and peaceful. Their world is filled with the song of the family, which shows safety and harmony. However, this innocence is soon tested when Kino finds the pearl of the world. What seems like a gift of hope that becomes a cause of greed, jealousy, and violence that shows how easily innocence can be destroyed by the corrupting power of wealth. John Steinbeck uses characters to show this struggle very clearly. Kino represents innocence at the very first. He is honest, hardworking, devoted to his family, but after finding the pearl, his character begins to change. He becomes proud, violent, suspicious, showing how greed corrupts even a good man. Joanna, on the other hand, his wife, remains pure and wise throughout the story. She senses the evil of the pearl and tries to save her family from its curse. The doctor, the priest, The pearl buyers, they represent corruption. They are controlled by greed and power, exploiting the poor and innocent for their own gain. The symbols and the events in the novella shows this conflict. The pearl itself is a symbol of hope and beauty, but soon it becomes a symbol of evil and destruction. The scorpion that stings Koitito at the beginning, that shows the danger that the greed will bring, while the burning of Kino's house and the destruction of his own boat represents the death of innocence and peace. The final event, that is Kino's son's death, is a moment when innocence is completely destroyed by human corruption. When Kino throws the pearl back into the ocean, into the sea, it symbolizes the rejection of greed and the return to purity. Through through these characters, symbols, events, John Steinbeck shows that struggle between innocence and corruption is a part of human life, and that true goodness lies in love and simplicity, not in wealth or power. Question number three: How does a novel, The Pearl, treat social social inequality, and colonial power structure? Okay. John Steinbeck's The Pearl strongly criticizes social inequality and colonial power by showing how poor native people like Kino are controlled and mistreated by the rich and powerful. Kino and his family live a simple life by the sea, but they are but I'm sorry, they are looked down upon by the town's upper class who represent colonial authority. When Kino takes his injured baby, Koitito, to the doctor, he is turned away. He neglects because he has no money. The doctor says, I'm a doctor, not a veterinary. That shows his racism and arrogance. The scene exposes the deep divide between the rich and the poor, and between the colonizers and the native people. John Steinbeck also shows inequality through the economic system in the town. In the town, when Kino finds the great pearl, the pearl buyers secretly work together to cheat him, pretending that his pearl is worthless. Kino's hope to earn a fair price is destroyed because the system is made to keep the poor always under control. The church, one minute, context, yeah. The church and the doctor also take part in this corruption. They use religion and medicine not to help people, but to gain power and wealth. Through these characters, John Steinbeck shows how colonial society is built on greed, lies, and exploitation, where the rich grow richer while the poor remain helpless. The novel also critiques how colonial power destroys culture and dignity. Kino's Keno, this boat, which is a symbol of his family's heritage and livelihood, is destroyed by the greedy man, showing how native traditions are attacked by colonial greed. When Kino tries to fight back, he is hunted like a criminal, showing how the system punishes anyone who challenges the system. In the end of the play, when Kino throws the pearl back into the ocean, into the sea, it is just a rejection of greed, but also of the colonial power that try to control his life. Steinbeck's message is clear: inequality and colonialism rob people of their humanity, and true freedom comes only when they reject the values of a corrupt and unjust world. Question number four: How does fate play important role in Kino's journey? Fate plays a very important role in Kino's journey in the novel The Pearl, shaping his life from beginning to end. At the start of the play, Kino lives a peaceful life with Joanna and his son Koetito. Everything seems balanced with nature, but when Koetito is stung by a scorpion, fate sets his tragic journey in motion. Kino's discovery of the pearl of the world seems at first like a blessing sent by destiny, a way to heal his son and give his family better life. However, Stenbeck shows that this so-called gift of fate is actually a test or a curse because it brings only greed, danger, and death. No matter how hard Kino tries to control his destiny, fate keeps turning against him. As the story continues, every step Kino takes to protect the pearl only leads him closer to tragedy. The doctor's deception, the attacks by thieves, the burning of his home, the death of Koichito all show that fate is stronger than Kino's will. Even though he fights bravely, he cannot escape the suffering that the pearl brings. In the end of the play, when Kino throws the pearl back into the sea, he accepts that he cannot change what fate has taken from him. John Steinbeck uses Kino's journey to show that fate can be cruel and uncontrollable, especially for the poor, and that human beings must learn to find peace by accepting the limits of their power. Question number 5. Examine Joanna's evolving relationship with the pearl from hopeful to wary. How does a how does she embody the novel's moral conscience? At the beginning of the pearl, Joanna sees the pearl as a symbol of hope and the way to change her family's life. When Kino finds it, she believes it as a blessing from the god, which will really help Koitito and bring a future, better future. She shares Kino's dreams of being married in a church, wearing fine clothes, sending their son to school. Her faith in the pearl reflects a deep love for her family and a desire to escape poverty. At this point, Joanne is hopeful, supportive, trusting that Pearl will bring them happiness and peace. As the story goes on, Joanna's feelings about the pearl change from hope to fear and wisdom. She begins to see that the pearl brings only greed, violence, and evil. Kino becomes angry and obsessed. Their family faces danger and suffering. Joanna calls the pearl as evil, a thing of darkness, even tries to throw it into the ocean to save her family. Through this, the author shows Joanna as a moral conscience of the story, calm, brave, clear sighted. In the end of the play, when Kino finally throws the pearl away, it is Joanna's strength and wisdom that lead him to understand that love and peace are worth more than wealth or dreams. Question number 6. Describe Kino's transformation from the beginning to the end of the novel. At the beginning of the Pearl, Kino is a simple, peaceful, and loving man who lives happily with his wife Joanna and baby Koitito. He enjoys the small joys of life, the sound of the sea, the warmth of the sun, the closeness of his family. He feels connected to nature and lives in harmony with his surroundings. When the scorpion stings Koitito, Kino's only wish is to find help for his child. His discovery of the pearl of the world fills him with hope and dreams. He imagines a better life, education for his son, respect from society. At this stage, Kino is very innocent. He is full of good intentions. As the story continues, Kino is slowly changed by greed, fear, and violence. The pearl that once seemed a blessing becomes a source of evil and destruction. He grows suspicious, angry, violent. He attacks Joanna when she is trying to throw the pearl away. He kills a man who is trying to steal it. His home is burnt. His boat canoe destroyed. He becomes fugitive. By the end of the play, when Coitit was killed, Kino realizes that Pearl has brought only pain. He looks at it, sees only ugliness and evil. When he throws it back into the sea, he returns to the truth he once knew. The love, peace, and family are life's real treasures. So Kino's transformation from innocence to tragedy shows how greed can destroy even a good and honest man. Question number 7. How does Joanna serve as a moral compass in the story? Joanna serves as the moral compass in the story or in the novel The Pearl because she always sees clearly what is right and what is wrong, even when Kino is blinded by greed. From the beginning, she shows her wisdom and strength through her actions. When Koichiro is stung by a scorpion, Joanna quickly sucks out the poison and prays to both God and the ancient spirits, showing a balance of faith and courage. When Kino finds the pearl of the world, Joanna shares his happiness at first, hoping it will bring healing and a better life. But soon she begins to see the change in Kino and the evil that follows the pearl. She says, "This thing is evil. This pearl will destroy us. This pearl will destroy us all." Her words show that she understands the danger of greed long before Kino does. Joanna's actions continues to show her role as the story's moral center. When Kino becomes violent and obsessed, she bravely tries to throw the pearl into the sea to save their family. Even after Kino hits her, she forgives him, helps him escape when he kills a man in self-defense. In the mountains, she stays calm and strong, holding Koyoto close, while Kino grows desperate. After Koichiro's tragic death, it's Joanna's quiet strength that helps Kino see the truth. When they return to the village, she walks side by side with him, not behind him, showing that her moral strength has guided them both. Through Joanna's wisdom, courage, and love, Steinbeck shows that she is the true heart and conscience of the story. Just a minute. Yeah, I just switched on the power battery. And Steinbeck shows that she's the true heart and the conscience of the story, reminding Kino and the reader that love and peace are more valuable than the wealth or pride. Question number 8. How does the destruction of Kino means to say boat, and home symbolize the destruction of his identity and cultural heritage? The destruction of Kino boat and home symbolize the complete loss of his identity, culture, and way of life. The canoe, which Kino inherited inherited from his grandfather, is more than just a tool for fishing. It represents his family's heritage, tradition, and connection to nature. John Steinbeck describes it as the one thing of value he owned in the world. It is his way of earning an honest living and providing food for his family. When Kino discovers that someone has smashed a hole in his boat, it is not just a physical loss, but a deep emotional wound. It means that his family's simple, traditional way of life, passed down through generations, has been destroyed by the greed and the evil that the pearl has brought. Similarly, the burning of Kino's house represents the destruction of his home, peace, and belonging. His hut was a place of love, safety, and family unity. But when it goes up in flames, Kino loses the center of his world. These two acts, the breaking of the canoe, his boat, the burning of his house, show how greed and envy from others, as well as Kino's own growing obsession with the pearl, have shattered his identity. He is no longer the peaceful fisherman who once used to live in harmony with nature. He has become a man running from his past. Now we are moving to the second last question. So all these questions are with reference to your textbook. Last question, second last question. Reflect on the ending. Kino's decision to cast the pearl back into the sea What does this gesture signify about lessons learned, sacrifice, and the moral of the story? At the end of the pearl, Kino's decision to throw the pearl back into the sea is a powerful moment that shows how deeply he has changed and what he has learned from his suffering. At the beginning of the story, Kino believes the pearl is a gift from God, a way to bring hope, wealth, and a better life for his family. But as greed and violence spread around him, the pearl brings only pain, fear, and death. When Coyote was filled by a gunshot, which meant for Coyote, Kino finally realizes that the pearl, once symbol of dreams, has become a symbol of evil. By throwing the pearl back into the ocean, he's rejecting greed and false ambition. He's coming back to the truth that, what's the truth? Love and peace are the real treasures of life. This act also shows Kino's sacrifice and wisdom. He gives up the one thing that cost him everything: his son, his home, his happiness, to restore moral balance. When he and his wife Joanna walk side by side back to the village, it shows that they have become equals through their shared pain and understanding. John Steinbeck uses this ending to teach us timeless lesson that wealth and desire can destroy innocence, and true happiness cannot be bought. Kino's gesture of casting the pearl into sea shows freedom from corruption, forgiveness of himself, acceptance of life's natural order. It is his way of letting go of greed and finding peace again, even after great loss, even after losing his son. Last question. Explain the symbolic importance of Kino throwing the pearl into the ocean at the end of the novel. Kino throwing the pearl into the sea at the end of the novel, the pearl is one of the most powerful symbols in the novel. Throughout the story, the pearl represents hope, ambition, and dreams. When Kino first finds the pearl, he sees something like as a miracle which is going to change his family's life, which is going to be a symbol of wealth, respect, better future for Koyotito. However, as the story continues, the pearl becomes a symbol of greed, evil, destruction. It brings jealousy, violence, death in Kino's world. By the time his son Koichiro is killed, the pearl no longer shines with beauty. It looks grey, like a malignant growth that shows it has become corrupted. When Kino throws the pearl back into the sea, it shows his rejection of the greed and his return to truth and purity. The act is both painful and cleansing. It means letting go of everything the pearl promised, but also but also freeing himself from its curse. It represents Kino's moral awakening and his understanding that true wealth lies not in gold or jewels, but in love, peace, and family. The sea, which first gave him the pearl, now takes it back, restoring balance to nature and to Kino's soul. So, John Steinbeck uses this final gesture to show that human happiness cannot come from material wealth, but only from harmony, humility, and acceptance of life's simple truths. So, dear friends, this is how I have brought model answers of all the 5 marks, 10 marks, and the character sketch from your textbook. These questions are with reference to your textbooks. Hope you like this video, a bit long video, but again, simple thing. If you watch the whole video, you are getting 30 marks. And to understand these questions, before that, you should watch my video on the summary of the pearl, and the link of the summary of the pearl is in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay in tune with only my channel, Mukesh English.